Okay, yeah, good day, guys. I hope everything is going well. I hope you're ready for your break. As I have marked your inner chapter questions, so I'm not going to go through them again. If there are any big questions about about a question from your inner chapter questions that you still want to ask me, please by all means do so over WhatsApp, over email, whatever. But I'm not going to go through them step by step unless we really need to, because I'm sure we'll have to go through. I have to go through them again just as a recap during the next term. Okay, sorry. So this chapter was on reproduction. It is a very in-depth chapter, and then there's a lot of new theory that needs to be learned. So please take the opportunity in the holidays as well, just to update your notes. Make sure that you are up to date with all of your notes up until this point, the end of chapter 16, so that when we start with chapter 17, which is quite a complicated one, you're ready, and we don't have to go back too much. Fingers crossed. Anyway, let's get on with the memo here. It will be available on the Google Drive if you want to go through it later, but I'm going to talk you through it now, just quickly. And if there are any questions, again, you can contact me, and you can ask me if there's anything that might be a little bit confusing still. Okay. Define asexual reproduction. The definition coming straight from your textbook is asexual reproduction is the process resulting in the production of genetically identical offspring from one parent. Describe how fungi reproduce asexually. In the asexual method, they produce single-celled haploid spores. These are then dispersed by air currents, and if they reach a suitable situation, they grow they grow new hyphae, which develop into mycelium, which is the largest body of the fungus. Stolons versus rhizomes. Basically, stolons they grow above the ground and they originate from the stem, while rhizomes grow below the ground and originate from the roots. Okay. Bulbs versus corms. Bulbs are modified leaves that store nutrients, while corms are swollen stem bases that also store nutrients. Give an example of an animal that reproduces asexually. I will have a look at what you give me for this, but the one that is mentioned in your textbook is your hydra. What are the male and female parts of a hermaphroditic plant species? So here it doesn't have to be a hermaphroditic plant species. Sometimes if it is just a plant species with a male flower and a female flower, the one will only have a stamen, which is your anther and your filament, and the other flower will only have a stigma and an ovary and an ovum. So it's not just for hermaphroditic plant species. This is just your male and female plant parts for all the flowers. Okay. Here, one other thing for here that I didn't ask in this test, but it is a popular one that they like to ask, is the advantages and disadvantages of sexual and asexual reproduction. So please make sure that is in your notes. I know it is in your syllabus, and they do a nice breakdown table of for both in each case, but I would recommend just like merging those together and making sure that you know why asexual reproduction might be better or sexual reproduction might be better in an evolutionary context. Okay. Here is also another popular one where they give you a description of a type of flower, and they ask you to describe why you think it is insect pollinated or wind pollinated. And here you're given a plant that is most likely wind pollinated because it has small petals, and insect pollinated flowers, they generally have those big petals that attract pollinators to come and pollinate the flower. If the anthers are hanging freely outside the petals, this is also another indication of a wind pollinated plant, because with insect pollinated plants you want the anthers as deep in the flower as possible to ensure that the pollinator must crawl into the flower interact with the anthers, get pollen on it, and also interact with your stigma to ensure that pollination does actually take place at the end of the day. Then another thing is that this flower is producing a large amount of pollen. This is very energy expensive, especially when you're producing things like nectar and big petals to attract pollinators. So your insect pollinated flowers generally don't produce a whole lot of pollen. They rather produce more specialized pollen that is spiky and sticks to the pollinator, thus just like reducing the amount of pollen that is needed to be produced for successful pollination to take place. Here, another thing here, I just want to make sure that you acknowledge is that the for pollination, the difference between pollination and fertilization. Just make sure that you are aware that there are two different stages in plant sexual reproduction. They are two different stages. So it is in your syllabus, but please make sure that that is something that you look into. Okay. Yeah, as I said, this was a relatively long test, but this is a very long chapter with a whole lot of theory in it. So please make sure that you are keeping your syllabus close when you are making notes, because there's a lot that you can miss out on if you don't follow the syllabus. Okay. Why is water important for seed germination? These points are taken straight from your textbook. Just go have a look at them. They are here if you want to look more closely, but they are listed in your textbook as is here. Okay. Lots of very important reasons why water is important. What is the following function of the following parts of the male and female reproductive system? Oviduct carries the ovum to the uterus. It has cilia that propel it along, and it also is the site of fertilization. Your uterus is where the fetus develops. Epididymis is massive tubules in which sperm is stored or are stored. The seminal vesicles adds fluids and nutrients to the sperm to form semen. Where does fertilization take place? It is in the oviduct. It gives 3 examples of antenatal care. This is like during pregnancy, a woman should eat healthily, have lots of vitamins and minerals, shouldn't work too hard just in case they are overexerting themselves or endangering the baby, and they shouldn't drink or smoke. I think that got left. Shouldn't drink or smoke while they're pregnant for obvious reasons. Okay. Yeah. What is the function of the placenta and the umbilical cord? So the placenta connects your fetus to the mother's blood system in order to provide the baby with oxygen and nutrients, and the umbilical cord obviously connects the placenta to the baby. So you can add that there if necessary. Okay. And this diagram, I'm sure you are familiar with. Here we're looking at C represents the 2 hormones released by the pituitary gland. They are your LH and FSH. I think it's luteinizing hormone and your follicle stimulating hormone. What is the structure labeled D? Your corpus luteum. It's the 3 remaining cells that have developed out of your follicle after your ovum is released. Ovule is released. Ovary. Oh my god, your egg is released. Okay. Then the levels of hormone level B. B is progesterone. When progesterone decreases sharply over here, that is when menstruation occurs. During ovulation, what structure produces hormone B? So during ovulation, it is your corpus luteum. That is what is producing the progesterone, and as soon as it moves out of the uterus and out of the vagina is discarded, this is when your menstruation is triggered. If in the case that pregnancy does occur during this period, your placenta will take over the production of your progesterone and will stop your period from occurring. This is a way that some of your chemical contraceptives work is that they continually release progesterone just so that you just sort of stop getting your period. Not all of your contraceptives work this way, but this is, I know one of them works this way. Then examples of male or female contraceptives. You've got your Sheila condom, your diaphragm, which is the female condom, your femidome, your spermicides, lots of different contraceptives. I haven't even listed all of the ones that were listed in your book here, but as long as you're able to name 2 of them, I am happy with that. Okay. Yeah, and that is the rundown of this paper. Please go have a look at your end of chapter questions. I have marked them in anticipation for this test, so please, if there's any questions from there, let me know. Otherwise, have a good break. Make sure that you are caught up on your notes. I think the last time where we stopped, I think we stopped at chapter 7 or 8. So just make sure that you are up to date. It might have been a bit further. I'm sure, maybe chapter 10. Anyway, make sure that you're up to date with your notes all the way up until the end of chapter 16, and we'll start up with chapter 17 when you get back. Yeah, have a good break, guys.